If you're an Indian professional waiting on a green card, August just delivered some real complicated news, some of it good, some of it genuinely frustrating, and you need to hear all of it before you make your next move. EB2. India just got completely shut down for the rest of this fiscal year. EB1 India might be next. But at the same time, family-sponsored categories just saw one of the biggest jumps in years. Tonight, I'm breaking down exactly what's happening in the August 2026 Visa Bulletin, what it actually means depending on which category you're in, and what you need to do before this fiscal year runs out on September 30th. Let's start with the genuinely good news, because there is some, and it matters. USCIS has confirmed that family-sponsored applicants filing adjustment of status during August can use the more favorable dates for filing chart instead of the stricter final action dates chart. That distinction sounds small, but it's actually huge because it means many families can submit their I-485 applications sooner than they expected. And the biggest single movement this month happened in the F2A category, spouses and unmarried children under 21 of green card holders, which jumped forward by more than 18 months for most countries. That's one of the largest single-month advances this category has seen in years. Other family categories, F1, F3, and F4, moved forward too, which means a real number of applicants may now be eligible to file or receive a decision earlier than they were planning for. Now, here's where things get a lot more complicated, and honestly, this is the part that matters most if you're an Indian applicant in the employment-based system. Unlike family categories, employment-based applicants are still required to use the stricter final action dates chart, not the more generous filing chart. That distinction trips up a lot of first-time filers every single year because your priority date might technically look current under one chart, while USCIS is only accepting the other. Always confirm exactly which chart applies before you file Form Y485, because getting this wrong can cost you real time. And here's the headline that Indian applicants specifically need to sit with tonight. The State Department has officially marked EB2 India as unavailable for the remainder of fiscal year 2026. In plain terms, that means the annual allocation of visa numbers for EB2 India has been completely exhausted, and no additional green cards will be approved in this category until the new fiscal year opens on October 1st. If you have a pending I-485 in EB2 India right now, USCIS cannot approve it, no matter how early your priority date is, until October. Once the new fiscal year begins, immigration attorneys widely expect the cutoff date to move forward meaningfully, since this is the normal pattern whenever a category resets at the start of a new fiscal year. But I want to be honest with you. Nobody can tell you an exact date right now, and anyone who claims certainty on that number is getting ahead of the actual data. Quick pause here, because if updates like this, the ones that actually explain what a chart change means for your specific category, are useful to you, go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're going to be tracking every single Visa Bulletin closely through the rest of this fiscal year. Meanwhile, EB3 India remains essentially unchanged, holding at a cutoff date of January 1, 2014, and EB5 Unreserved India is barely moving either, sitting around May 1, 2024. But here's the update that should genuinely have EB1 India applicants paying close attention right now. The State Department has issued a specific formal warning that EB1 India, the category covering extraordinary ability applicants, outstanding researchers, and multinational executives, could also become unavailable in the coming weeks if current demand keeps up its pace. And that specific phrase, coming weeks rather than coming months, is exactly the kind of urgent language that preceded EB2 India's shutdown earlier this year. If you're in EB1 India and your case is anywhere close to being ready, this is not the month to sit on it. There is a small silver lining in the employment-based world this month too. EB1, China moved forward by about 1 month. EB3 China and EB3 rest of world both saw small advances, and EB4 categories recorded slight movement as well. None of these are dramatic jumps, but compared to how little movement many employment categories have seen in recent bulletins, even small forward motion counts for something right now. Here's the bigger structural reason all of this is happening at once, and understanding it actually helps you make sense of the whole picture. August and September are always tense months in the visa bulletin world because the U.S. government's fiscal year ends on September 30th. Every single year, immigrant visas operate under strict annual numerical limits, plus separate per-country limits layered on top of that. As those numbers get used up heading into the final stretch, some categories retrogress, meaning their cutoff dates actually move backward, and others simply become unavailable entirely, exactly like we're seeing with EB2 India right now. This isn't unique to India, and it isn't limited to one visa category either. Both employment-based and family-sponsored applicants across multiple countries could see real shifts before fresh visa numbers get released on October 1st. Immigration attorneys are advising everyone affected to watch the monthly visa bulletin closely through the rest of August and September, because this is exactly the stretch where things move fastest, and sometimes in the wrong direction. Now, let's talk about the other major change landing next month, because this one affects every single green card applicant, regardless of category or country. Starting September 18th, DHS is rolling out a significantly broader public charge rule, officially replacing the narrower standard that's been in place since 2022. Under this updated policy, immigration officers get real discretion back to evaluate a much wider range of factors when deciding whether someone is likely to become dependent on government assistance down the road. That can include the use of certain non-cash public benefits, things like Medicaid, food assistance, or housing support, along with your age, health, financial resources, education, job skills, and the strength of your affidavit of support. I want to be clear about something important, though. Simply having received one of these benefits does not automatically result in a denial. And there's a specific protection worth knowing. Benefits received by a U.S. citizen child in your household will not count against a parent's application. Timing matters enormously here too. Applications properly filed and accepted before September 18th will still be evaluated under the current, more lenient 2022 policy, not this new one. And there's one more critical detail buried inside this same September 18th rollout that could trip up even careful applicants. USCIS is introducing a brand new version of Form Y-485, the core form used to adjust status to permanent residence. Starting September 18th, you have to use this updated version specifically. Older editions will be rejected, even if you mail them or submit them electronically on that exact date. And here's why that matters so much. A rejected application is legally treated as though it was never filed at all. That can directly affect your priority date, your filing deadlines, and, in some cases, protections under the Child Status Protection Act for applicants with children approaching age 21. This is exactly the kind of small technical detail that can quietly derail an otherwise strong case if nobody catches it in time. So here's where that leaves things overall this August. If you're a family-sponsored applicant, this month brought some genuinely encouraging movement, especially in F2A. If you're an employment-based applicant, particularly out of India, you're dealing with real tightening visa availability and the very real possibility of further restrictions before this fiscal year closes out. And layered on top of both groups, everyone preparing to file later this year now has to account for a stricter public charge standard and a mandatory new I-485 form arriving on the exact same day. These next few weeks genuinely matter, because staying informed right now is the difference between catching these changes early and losing real time to a mistake that was completely avoidable. Before you go, make sure you've hit subscribe and turned on notifications, because we'll be tracking every Visa Bulletin update, every EB category shift, and everything connected to that September 18th rollout as it happens. If you've got a question about your specific category or priority date, drop it in the comments below. I read through them and we'll cover the most common ones in upcoming videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.